Hey guys, imagine you find out how to change your face and become whoever you want, but the consequences will be fatal, because this is the movie Grafted from 2024. So let's recap. In China, in a small but very crowded town, a man is doing some research, and his daughter was always by his side because she loved watching her father work. He's a brilliant scientist, though not recognized for his work, and he's developing a system to regenerate damaged skin on the face, which could change the world. Both of them were born with large birthmarks on their faces. After many tests, he needs a subject for his experiment and decides to graft a piece of pig skin onto his own marked face. After applying the substance, it works really well, too well, in fact. The skin starts growing all over his face, sealing his mouth, nose, and eyes. Even though he tries to cut it open to breathe, he can't. His daughter tries to make a hole to help, but ends up accidentally killing him. Now we see this young woman years later, named Hai, who earned a scholarship to a prestigious university in the United States and would be staying at her aunt's house. As soon as she arrived in the country, she was in a hurry because she needed to work. Her aunt noticed she was wearing a scarf on her face to hide her birthmark. When they got home, it was a big house because her aunt was very wealthy, and she was introduced to her cousin Angela, who immediately started saying that Hai was strange. But Hai showed that she could speak English, demonstrating her talent. When she tried to start a conversation with Angela, she said she was busy because she was a popular young woman who had to focus on her appearance. Hai set up an altar in her room to thank the spirits and promised to continue her father's research. The next day, she was on her way to her first day of school when she encountered a homeless man with a severely burned, deformed face. His name was John. That day, there was a surprise test, and only a few students did well. The young Eve scored 92%, but the professor revealed that Hai scored 100%, and everyone was impressed by her as the new student. During the break, she went to the chemistry lab to test her experiments, but Paul showed up, asking questions and grabbing her notebook, realizing she was working on something big. At home, Angela, Eve, and Jasmine were talking about Hai, calling her weird. They were the popular girls who liked to cause trouble, and when Hai came over trying to make friends, they walked away because she had some strange customs from China. The next day, to try to fit in, she started observing how they behaved and invited them to try something different. She took them to a traditional Chinese restaurant and ordered a dish of chicken feet, but everyone started looking at it with disgust, except Jasmine, who understood what it was like to be a foreigner in the country. Paul, the professor, receives a message from the science board saying that he would lose his position because he hadn't contributed anything in a long time. He remembers Hai's notebook and finds her talking to the homeless man. He offers her a ride, and when they get home, he tells her he'll let her work with him in the lab to finish her father's research. She arrives home happy but notices that Angela was in her room with her boyfriend. Hai peeks through the keyhole, but Angela comes out to complain about the smell, as she always places offerings on the altar, and the smell spreads through the house. Hai realizes that she would only be respected if she were as beautiful as the others. Hai starts working with Paul and explains everything her father had worked on for years. It was fascinating and groundbreaking. As the days go by and she works, Paul just keeps an eye on her while getting closer to Eve. Jasmine shows up at the lab and calls Hai to talk. She tells her that she doesn't need to hide her face to be accepted, and the two begin to form a friendship. While riding the train, Hai sees a flyer with an image of a flower, announcing an exhibition of rare plants. She remembers this plant from her father's notebook and realizes it could be the solution to her research. That night, she sneaks into the place, takes some pulp from the plant, and heads to the university lab to finish her work. Meanwhile, Paul is in the next room, playing around with Eve. They notice and start observing her. Hai takes a piece of skin from her leg and grafts it with the solution she created. It works, and Paul steps out to see, but Eve, feeling jealous, takes a suspicious photo to use against him. Later, she shows up, saying it's too late for Hai, and offers to take her home. Paul takes advantage of the moment to snap photos of her notebook because they were getting closer to achieving something huge. Eve says she doesn't like Hai spending too much time with Paul and takes her deep into the woods, telling her that she needs to go through this to learn. She leaves Hai to walk back alone in the middle of the night. To make matters worse, when Hai gets home, Angela is angry and destroys her altar. The two start fighting, and Angela suffers a fatal accident. The phone starts ringing because her aunt is coming home, and Hai needs to resolve things somehow. She carries her cousin's body and removes her face to implant it on herself, thinking she could live Angela's life. It works, and the only one who knows is the little dog, who tries to show the body. Her aunt arrives and notices that her towel is stained with blood, but assumes it's just menstruation. As the days go by, Hai starts practicing how to act like Angela so no one suspects anything. At the university, her boyfriend shows up and invites her for a special night, but she doesn't know where to put the face because she's unsure of what to do. By coincidence, there's a volleyball championship that day, and to avoid participating, she fractures her 2 fingers and is allowed to leave early. If you've made it this far, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because the weirdness is just beginning. So let's continue. Angela's boyfriend shows up and takes her on a special outing, and everything is going well, but the skin on her face starts to peel off as the effect wears off. In desperation, he ends up falling off a cliff. She runs home and applies more of her potion to glue the skin back on. However, she notices that her notebook is missing because Paul managed to translate it and went after the same plant to finish the research. Hai goes to the lab to get the notebook but doesn't find it. Paul tells her that the work is now his and that it will change his life. As Hai leaves the lab, Eve is waiting outside because he stood her up, and since Hai is wearing Angela's face, Eve asks for a ride and glares at her angrily for what she's done. Hai is running low on potion, and without the notebook, she can't do anything more. So she calls Eve to talk because she has a secret, and these gossiping young women never miss a thing. When Eve arrives at the house, Hai goes after her before her face comes off, but Eve runs away and hides in the pool. However, she lets out bubbles and is hit by a mysterious drill. The dog starts barking, drawing the attention of a nosy neighbor, an old gossip. She manages to switch faces but would have little time, and to make matters worse, the police show up at the scene because Hai has gone missing. However, she claims they weren't friends, and to throw them off, she sends the photo Eve took to the police, making them believe that Paul was behind everything, and he gets fired. Hai goes to Paul's house to get the notebook, but he only wants to play around. She returns home disgusted by everything that happened. She decides to try once more, and this time, he is excited and wants to celebrate because even though he lost everything, he could sell the face and become very rich. So, she takes advantage of a moment of distraction, opens his safe, takes the potion he made, and leaves. But he notices and hides the notebook. Eve's face begins to rot, so she rips it off. Jasmine shows up to see if she's okay with everything that's happening and is being very kind, but she ends up opening the fridge. Hai realizes she must take care of her or it would be her end, as things are becoming harder to hide. That night, Paul shows up at the house to confront her, and he knows it's Hai using the faces of other young women. Paul gets distracted and is sedated. He wakes up on a table, and to prevent him from telling anything, Hai does the same thing that happened to her father. She places a tube in his neck to allow him to breathe, and this would solve everything, but the nosy neighbor walks into the house. Now, Hai needs to run because the police are coming, and a chase begins through the city. On the subway, she meets John, the homeless man, and asks for help. He hides her from the police, but she spills the liquid on the floor. Since the two of them are connected, their bodies begin to merge, and they turn into a bizarre creature, showing that there are fates worse than death. If you survived until the end, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because we'll have more stories to recap soon. Now, I'm outta here, bye.